Hello and welcome to another edition of Ask the Experts here on 570 News Radio. I'm joined today by Faisal Susiwala, recently named as the #1 REMAX agent worldwide in terms of sales volume and number of homes sold. He's also the author of the book, The Real Deal, Billion-Dollar Real Estate Broker, and he's got some time for us today. Welcome back to the show, Faisal. Always a great time having you on the show.
Thanks for having me on, bro.
Listeners, if you're interested in any of the information we discuss over the next hour, you can reach out to Faisal. Start your journey at homeshack.com. You can call Faisal directly as well, 519-624-5555, or by email, faisal@homeshack.com. Jumping right into things right now, lots of excitement when it comes to what's happening in the real estate market. We're always excited to talk about it. But I did want to touch base with you today to look at new construction and pick your brain about what is actually going on when it comes to new construction, Faisal.
So with the government right now, housing construction is facing a significant downturn in the new sector, with provincial government revising its projections downward once again. The latest fall economic statement, the government Ford government stated that they're now expecting to do 81,000 new starts as opposed to the 125,000, which was originally targeted. So this trend is anticipated to continue, which is a far cry from the 1.5 million new homes that we need to have by 2031, which would be 150,000. So we're almost at half of the actual units that the new housing starts that are going to be there since the past couple of years. And I agree, Catherine Fife criticized the government that these are, they should really be embarrassed that what they projected, what they sold everybody on, and what is actually happening is not there. And we're going to continue to see impact of this with high building costs, high bureaucratic costs, the delay and whatnot. So all of these things are going to cause these starts to be slow. I don't expect that we're going to see anywhere near the 150,000 units that they were expecting to produce per year until 2031. That's just not a realistic expectation now.
And I mean, the thing is too that you get behind the 8 ball in the first year, and you're always trying to play catch up, and that's really impossible, isn't it? When you're you're talking about home building, you can't ever really seem to get ahead of things.
You can't. So there's going to be some challenges that will continue, but again, these projections were way out of line. They double what realistic projections should have been. So now we're seeing the fallout on this.
In your mind, is that we've talked about the back maybe a year or two ago, there was the issue of supplies being available, or workers that are available as well too. Are home builders dealing with those same issues right now?
So it's a complicated situation. So yes, construction costs have come down. Labor costs has come down because trades don't have as many jobs as they had. Material costs has come down. But what has not come down is the value that the developer put into the land, the cost to the builder for that land, and then the values of real estate. And we're seeing this lag right now where resale home prices need to start catching up to 2021 prices at least for there to be a justification for the cost at which builders need to produce new homes. It's just unrealistic to expect builders to sell a 2,000 square foot home for $900,000 in our region, which is really where that resale home market is sort of stuck at right now. Yeah. But a lot of the changes that are coming downstream are going to help those prices come up, the lowering of interest rates, the several cuts that are the CMHC rules that are changing. So all of this is going to have a positive impact. But right now, we still don't see builders having the confidence to put product or inventory into the marketplace. And that will lag behind what happens in the resale home market. So as we see resale homes creep up, get closer to what new home valuations are expected to be, we'll start seeing more and more builders jumping back into the market to build.
And it's we've got to wait and see, right? We've talked about that before, and we're hoping that those things start to take off. At the same time, the province also recently voted down a private members bill that was looking at taking vacant office spaces and turning them into residential units. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You're talking about uh, building new homes, but then someone says to you, "Hey, looking at this in a different light? What's happening in a situation like that?"
Yeah, I mean, it was expected that the office buildings would be converted into residential, and that conversion was supposed to happen over a 2-year period. That has sort of gone by the wayside now, and the Ford government has just rejected the bill out, citing concerns about unintended consequences, stating that it will pursue its own internal solutions and continue ongoing efforts to reduce the bureaucratic hurdles in housing development. But that's just another, I don't even know what that all means by them saying that, because they haven't solved any problems. Ontario struggles to meet that 1.5 million new home target by 2031. And we've only seen actually 110,000 new units built since 2022. So we're not even near that 150,000 a year, as I mentioned earlier. So the percentage of vacant office spaces right now in Toronto has increased to just under 20% of office buildings are vacant. So there would be a natural solution, in my opinion, to creating some housing. You have all this real estate that's already built, retrofitted into residential units, and provide that as a affordable housing solution for those who can't enter the market. So I'm not sure what the premise behind turning down this bill was, but it's very disappointing to say the least.
Are there examples that come to mind for you here in our region where you look at a property and you're thinking, yeah, it's just sitting there right now, and it is office space, but it's not being used. Do we have sort of a glut of that type of real estate right now as well?
Oh, absolutely. You look at certain areas that are just sort of on the outside core of downtown. There's office spaces there. There are buildings. There was one on Bridge Street. I've seen that it's sold recently, but I thought that would be a great spot for housing development. Beyond that, in Cambridge, there's the old Lens Mill outlet, the big factory. That's a perfect environment for housing development. But again, developers and builders are just getting tired and exhausted and fatigued by the bureaucratic process. And that's stopping them from entering. And really isn't a lot of solutions being offered or any incentives really being given to these folks. I'm involved in several development projects myself, and I'm just, my jaw just drops when I get a response from the municipalities, and the roadblocks they're putting up are just unheard of. We have a 1 acre parcel of land right now in Preston, and it's virtually being landlocked because the city has not allowed any provisions for servicing of that lot. Similar on the south end of Cambridge on Myers Road. They went ahead and gave a developer permission to go ahead and construct their units. There was a stubbed out road, but instead of allowing that stub to continue into the undeveloped lands, they decided to put a house there. Now, to service that parcel, which would have created about 2.5 acres of housing, let's call it 100 units,
Mhm.
there's no access to service. And their solution is, well, we have services about a kilometer down the street. You're welcome to pay for it and bring it to your lot. How
Huh.
is that creating any form of affordable housing? So all of these roadblocks are not coming from builders and developers. They're coming from the municipalities, the lack of support, the lack of understanding how developers and builders need to process their construction, and how these municipalities can assist. Instead of assisting them, they continuously put roadblocks, but they're big at voting time to provide all kinds of solutions that they're going to be offering, but they never actually follow through.
We've talked about this before. That idea of the red tape. We see it at the local level. We see it at the provincial level. In some cases, there's even federal red tape that you've got to jump through. How do you fight that? I guess you just have to keep going back and saying, look, we're not going anywhere. We want this thing to take place, and we're going to dig our heels in.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so, you can't continuously ask and put the onus on builders and developers to produce more housing and then not assist them.
Right.
And they're just giving lip service at this point.
Listen, we're coming up on a break here on Ask the Experts. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about affordable housing and the role that it's playing in our region right now. Stay with us here on 570 News Radio.